Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest episode of the Challenge All Stars 4, Episode 4. It's your people, the Reality Unloaded podcast. My name is Keeks,
I'm Lina D.
And I'm Brandon.
and again, we'll be unloading this week's episode of the Challenge All Stars 4, Episode 6. And to get into it, there's a lot that happened. Honestly, might be the best episode of the season so far. So we're going to get right into it.
Let's start with the name of the episode, right? Like the episode is called Karma Maria. And I feel like it's definitely very foreshadowing of what we see kind of unload throughout this episode. But they definitely started very light. So the episode starts with Cam and Leroy celebrating Leroy's win. Leroy really says that, hey, I needed this. Like I needed this to kind of jumpstart my game. What do you guys think about that, Brandon?
I agree with him. He needed to jumpstart his game. I think what we were seeing from him was a whole bunch of fails, in my opinion, just knowing his trajectory on the challenge itself. And so I was excited to see him back. So when I just kept seeing him fumble the bag, I was a little disappointed. So I'm glad he got the fire under his butt to keep it up. So
yeah, definitely, for sure. And then it's funny because we then have like a little shift over where we see Cara Maria talking to Ryan, and Ryan's really asking her like, hey, have you talked to Cam? Have you talked to Leroy? And she makes a statement where she's not really comfortable going to talk to them. No bad blood. She's not aiming for them or anything. Again, she's trying to like really protect her star because she knows that they're coming after her. But she doesn't feel comfortable enough to really go and approach them. And Ryan even makes a comment about Cara being the one to beat. What do you think, Keeks?
I mean, I agree. We all know that, like, at the end of the day, Cara is one of the best competitors in the house. And anyone going after her, like, it makes sense. Like, she's the biggest competition there, in my opinion. Um, in terms of her not feeling comfortable approaching Leroy and Cam, I'm really just like, I feel like we're missing a chunk out of the editing floor. Like, we're missing awkward moments, like how they used to show the awkward moments between Laurel and Nicole. Like, why are they not having conversations? And honestly, like I said last episode, I'm just pissed off that they're not working together because they would be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, clearly Cam is running the house. But I just find it crazy that these people that have had relationships outside of this game to not even feel comfortable talking to them and approaching them. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is what it
but I
is.
I, I kind of get what she's saying though, because if you look back to what actually happened before, and they tried to like hash it out and talk, it just didn't go well. So I think at this point, she even said she was like, I'm not coming for her or Leroy, but if shots are fired, I'm gonna give them back. And I think that's a valid point. I don't think it's smart for her to gun for them. So yeah.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I don't think it's a smart strategy for Leroy and Cam to work with Cara Maria, right? Like she's too strong.
I mean,
Or
at this point, it doesn't make any sense for them to, but I do think that it benefits. I think it would benefit both of their games if they actually work together.
fair,
I agree.
very fair.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I love how like the episode transitions to Steve making the Bulgarian bag. And then Kara's talking about either, Steve in the wild or Aces in places. And you see kind of Ace sleeping around the house. Like, what is going on with these two characters? Do you feel like they're filler characters or something?
I think, okay, probably because I've seen Steve in the past on All Stars before. He's kind of weird. He's a little weirdo in the house. And I kind of appreciate it though, because you don't need all the alpha dogs running around. You kind of need that little outcast in a sense. So it was funny. It was a funny segment to see.
Honestly, Ace is one of those people. Well, he just like some of my family members. They just knock the fuck out anywhere. So I did find that funny. I said, "Oh, look at Ace making me laugh. Maybe he is gonna make me eat my words." Because he became somewhat of a challenger this episode.
He
But I
did.
did think it was funny. I mean, they're always gonna need some sort of comedic relief. Especially when we're dealing with intense conversation, strategy talk. Like, there's only so much we want to hear about that. And then, yeah, I just felt like it was funny too.
Yeah, and then we go from like the comedic relief to the necessary romantic story. Yes, yes, yes. We've heard it. We'll hear it again. We're halfway through the season. Keeks, go for it. Just break her down.
No, dude. What is happening? What is happening? I am so over this whole Laurel and Nicole thing. I don't think any of us in the fandom want to take any more time. Like, remove Nicole and Laurel. Y'all need to explain what the hell is really going on in the house between these people. All that time spent on Laurel and Nicole could be spent on other people, building relationships, having bonds, because clearly Jay has Jasmine's back, and we'll see that later. But we don't see that come into fruition at all, or them building
And
some sort of like alliance.
and you know
So
what's crazy? We've seen their relationship in every single episode so far. And it's like, how much can you do with this at this point? I
oh my
just
god.
I'm kind of I just can't anymore.
Over
It's
it. Over
draining.
it.
Yes.
It's their
We
storyline. It really is their only storyline. When I say production is milking the hell out of this, like it will continue to evolve throughout the season.
And just letting y'all know, to our listeners, our viewers, our opinion about this relationship is not going to change. Because at the end of the day, Laurel and Nicole are not together in real life right now and actually hate each other's guts. So again, it just feels like, what the hell is the point of us saying all this shit?
And you know what it is? I think it's like that back and forth, like toxicity to me. It's like, you see Nicole on like side conversations saying, "Oh, I don't want anything. Like, I'm not leading her on." But then you see the different moments that happen in this episode. So it's kind of just like, it's really high school play. And I think that's what really takes away from it. Like, it's not this like dramatic love try. It's just really high school. We're over it. We get the story. Move on.
Speaking of high school, you know what they remind me of? You know that toxic cheerleader and football player that always like break up and say like, "Oh, this is it, we're done," and then the next day they're back together? That's them.
Correct. Very fair. Spot on. Well, anyway, we move on to the episode to the daily challenge. Brandon, break it down for us.
All right, so this daily challenge is called Take a Seat. And basically, this game is played in pairs in two phases. Pairs, my favorite. So in phase one, TJ will basically call out a section and a series of seat numbers in a stadium. And the player's goal is to race to the section that he calls out. However, there's going to be, I think, one missing seat within that row. So if one of the pair of you don't get in, then your team is out. And then he explains that there will be 5 rounds of this, with one pair being eliminated in each round. Then it goes into phase two, where everyone is back in the game, but the winning 4 pairs from phase one will receive a 30-second head start to collect one token that's hidden somewhere within the stadium section. And then the token is then brought back to TJ to receive a bag of hooks. And they basically have to place the hooks with these blocks on a balance beam. And until it's actually balanced and not leaning to one side, that's how you win. So the pairs end up being Cam and Leroy, Brad and Laurel, Keith Latina, Cara and Jay, Adam and Flora, Avery and Ryan, Ace and Nicole, Jasmine and Derek, and Veronica and Steve.
Yeah, and it was interesting because when the pairs were being selected, we saw a little tension between Ace and Cara Maria.
I mean, do you blame her though? I would have done the same thing if someone that I was close to, their knee was like kind of messed up. I would have done the same thing.
I do blame her. Like, if you were my teammate and you were my pair throughout like every selection that we've had, stick it through with me. That's kind of my thought.
We're playing for
I don't
money.
agree. Yeah, I don't
Oh
agree with
my
that.
God.
I feel like it was fine for
My
her
pod
to.
family, you're not loyal.
We loyal to the bag, okay?
I'll
No,
give I'll give you a cut when I win, but yeah, not for this
yeah,
time.
Brandon, don't
well,
buy me a
eh,
drink. Hold
we
on. What
we
kind of cut
we
we talking about?
right. But I just feel like, I mean, I didn't blame her for choosing him. I mean, I did find it funny how he like tried to play it off like he wasn't hurt by it, but it clearly affected him. But I mean, he ended up winning, so like, who cares at this point? Like, it doesn't even matter. But I do want to also mention something about the pairs. I don't understand why Cam and Leroy did this together.
Mm.
Them as a couple, they should have separated themselves. I don't understand why they decided to do that, but it is what it is. I guess they just obviously are going into it because they trust each other the most, but I just feel like them as a couple, they should not be doing any of the challenges together.
I mean, I kind of understand it. Like, had they won, we have Leroy who would have been safe with his star, and Cam who would have had the option to go in. So I kind of get why doing it together. It works in their interests where she can have that choice to get her own star, and Leroy is safe. Um, Unfortunately, we just see that they don't really perform well enough to kind of get that goal. And then we have like this really odd pairing of Laurel and Brad, and it doesn't really pan out the greatest.
Yeah,
So,
that was interesting to me because when I saw that pairing, I was like, oh, they're probably gonna dominate this whole challenge. And what happens is in phase one, they're the ones that end up losing first. And it was mainly on Brad because Brad just looked confused and didn't know what was happening. And you kind of see Laurel literally yelling at him, like, what are you doing? You need to get your head in the game. So I thought that was funny.
Right. When is Laurel not yelling? One. But two, when is Brad not fucking up in this season? Like, he has messed up on multiple daily challenges. Like, I'm not understanding because this should be a breeze, especially with having Laurel as his partner. I'm not understanding why he couldn't find a seat. Like, what the hell? And she was literally like, Brad, sit there. And then for whatever reason, Avery
I was
gets up
confused.
Avery gets up from her seat, which was already secured, and takes the one that was open for Brad. And I was like, Avery, why the fuck are you moving? But it is what it is. I just thought it was weird. Like, Brad, like, you see everybody on the road, and he was even looking at the back row at a point, and I was like, why are you looking behind you? Everybody's right there. Whatever.
Yeah, Brad is
Well,
another Leroy for me right now. It's in this season of the challenge specifically, someone that you thought was gonna come back and like dominate, but I don't know. They're struggling a bit. So
and Laurel even told him, like, get it together. Whatever you need to do to gain focus again, like, do it. Yeah, his head is definitely not in the game. Maybe he does need a win similar to Leroy to kind of start that momentum for himself, but he is definitely a struggling competitor that we've seen episode after episode, and surprisingly has not gone down into the elimination. So very interesting kind of dynamic happening with Brad.
yeah, I
But on
agree.
the other But on the other hand, we definitely do see a rising star in this episode again. So again, shout out, kudos, Derek, you killed it. Our state hurdle champion, he killed it. What are we thinking about Derek?
I didn't know that he was a track star back in the day, but the way that he was running past these men and these women,
Yes.
it was almost kind of embarrassing for the people that actually like train to come on these shows. I was like, what are y'all doing? But he was killing it, and I kind of felt bad for him because he was paired up with Jasmine. Because had he not been, he definitely would have won that whole entire thing. At least the first phase.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. He would have, if he was paired up with somebody else. Let's say if Cam and Leroy decided to split and he was paired up with Cam, they could have potentially won for sure. Um, and I just, I'm not understanding like what is it? It was somebody, I think it was Avery, right? She had made the comment about like this is like a hall brawl because people are being aggressive to get into the seats. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
sis, you don't know what a hall brawl is. Like, come on. This ain't a hall brawl. You want to talk about a hall brawl? We could get into those. But I did see like I was surprised that Cam got like the wind knocked out of her almost. And I mean she recovered, but I was like, dang, they really are at least pushing people, which rightfully so, they should. But I felt like Derek would have easily won this if he was not paired up with Jasmine. And then we
Easily.
also see like Keefla getting hurt and injured because of his hamstring, and he makes it very known to at least right Tina. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like I pulled my hamstring, it's very tight, I'm getting concerned, and I just knew it was downhill for Keefla, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Veronica got the wind knocked out of her at one point. If you remember, like Jasmine like pushed her. So I mean,
Yeah,
good for them. Honestly, this is what we wanted to see. Like we've been
yeah.
waiting for this daily challenge. Like this is exactly what we wanted to see. Um, yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is what we do in musical chairs. So if you're not doing it here, then why are you playing? But it ends up actually being the losers of the first phase are Brad and Laurel, Adam, Flora, Veronica, Steve, Tina and Keefla, and Derek and Jasmine. And the winners end up being Cam and Leroy, Ace and Nicole, Cara and Jay, and Avery and Ryan. So they have a head start in the second phase.
Yeah, and then that takes us really into phase two. And like you said, everybody comes back, everyone is competing. The only really difference is those few winners of phase one kind of get that 30-second head start to go for the token. And I think there's a really beautiful moment that happens with Jasmine where she kind of like reveals her motivation, and she says she's doing it for her kids. She wants to put into their college fund. She's a single mom. And you do see a different Jasmine this time around. I definitely believe that. And it was really, to see her motivation really makes me understand the moves that she's made so far and makes me respect her even more for what she's doing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think had she, and I know we'll get into it later, but had she not done some of the moves that she did so early on, I think she honestly would have lasted longer in the game. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. I do want to make a comment though. The 30 seconds was so childish. I'm sorry. Like I was kind of annoyed by that. I was like 30 seconds, like that's the advantage. I mean, granted, first it worked in people's favor, but I just felt like that was dumb.
Mind
Um
you, they had them
and
running around the stadium trying to find these seats out of
yeah,
breath, and 30 seconds is what you give me? It
like
made no
Well,
honestly,
Laurel,
like,
sense.
and Laurel commented on that. I think that's what you were about to bring up,
exactly.
Lena.
Yep.
That like you were better off getting eliminated in the first phase because you get to build your stamina again. You get to rest for a little bit before you have to start running and doing the Naruto run pretty much to get to where you gotta go. So I just felt like the 30 seconds was whatever. And then we'll get into the placements of everybody. Because I have a comment about some editing things that they did, but go ahead with the placements.
Yeah, so then we see our bottom team. So again, Keefla is still kind of struggling throughout phase two. Tina's trying to really make up for it. But we really come down to the bottom teams being Cam and Leroy, Brad and Laurel, Veronica, Steve, Tina, Keefla, and Derek and Jasmine. And our winners, who again really Ace pulled it off, was Ace and Nicole. And our middle voting group was Cara, Jay, Avery, Ryan, and Adam and Laura.
I will say
Some
though, Cara and Jay were neck and neck with Ace and Nicole. They almost had it, so it was a nail biter.
See, I never know how, because they're not really showing time at all this season. I don't really know how close it was. I don't know if it was an editing scheme that made it seem close. I don't know if it was truly, like, I don't know, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Ace and Nicole pulled it through, considering like they are not like puzzle experts or whatever. Like they haven't had the best showing when it comes to these puzzle things. So Ace like just doing the damn thing. Like if it wasn't for Ace, Nicole would definitely not have won.
Wait, so
Um,
now you giving Aces props?
I did. I said it from the start that
I
Ace
said
showed up
don't.
and did his thing.
I
That don't
said
mean
don't
that
sleep
Ace
on
did
Aces.
some. No, 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 no. Hold on. Let's not act
Mm,
like you had a
hmm
crystal ball and saw that Ace was gonna be winning a daily or something. Let's not put Ace up on
I
this
was
crazy ass
just
pedestal.
basing it off of what I know him to be on the challenge, and all I said was let's not sleep on Ace. And then y'all were like,
He's
"Oh, we forgot he wasn't even on the show."
I mean, rightfully so. He had no camera time. So of course he was just sleeping his life away in the house, clearly, based on aces and places or whatever. But
Welcome to Reality Unloaded. We will always call you out when you contradict yourself.
I mean, I didn't contradict myself. I stand on what I said. Okay, and Ace, congrats to you for winning a daily. Hopefully that's not the last one of the season. There you go. Okay. Now, something I want to comment about the editing. When they put like the middle group or whatever, why
I said the
why
same thing.
you could literally tell who the hell the people are based on their promo photo.
I
So,
said the
like,
same thing
cut
when I was
that out. Like,
watching.
what is the point of you acting like this shadow or whatever is not like I can't
Yeah.
detect who the hell that is. I can clearly tell that the last group or it was like
Was
Avery and
Avery.
Ryan
Okay, same.
with her
Same.
pose.
Yes, I was saying the same thing. I was watching the episode. I was like, well, it's obviously Avery is going to get the last spot. Like, you knew
Oh
from,
my
I was just
god.
like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm so happy you
But
brought that
yeah.
up. I noticed that
Yeah, I
too.
was just like, what the hell is that production? But yeah, so Ace and Nicole win. And then we get into TJ making the announcement about this is a double elimination, baby. You need to vote 2 women and 2 men. Oh, that shook the house up. And I love that. Keeps the whole cast on their toes and make sure that like nobody is safe at the end of the day. So stop playing games.
And I
I
actually did
when
not
TJ
expect
said
that at
that,
all.
yeah, like when TJ said that, I was so happy because I knew it was about to be a shit show when they got back to the house. Everyone was going to be shaking in their boots.
And honestly, that's exactly what we saw. Like literally the first thing when they got back to the house was Cara Maria talking about and really pushing that she wants Jasmine and Veronica to go in because she really wants to protect her star. And then we actually kind of see how protected Jasmine is through different conversations that are happening in the house, which I don't know about you guys, but that really surprised me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I think Ryan was talking to Jasmine about it, and she was going off on Cara for what I don't understand. But Cara is making valid points. Like you're the only other option at this point, so why wouldn't I go that way? You knew it was coming for you. I gave you a star for a reason, and she's calling her all names under the book or in the book, and I was like, oh, she's like kind of heated right now.
right. Heated. I love that. I say go off, Jasmine. I mean, like, granted, like I fuck with Cara Maria. Now we about to call her Karma Maria. But I was like, this is the authenticity that I enjoy from all stars challengers. Like someone like Jazzy, yes, you know that she is not the most athletic, but she has a social game. She's going to bring you entertainment and she's not going to shut the fuck up for anybody. So I appreciated that moment. Granted, like I did not agree with what she was saying because hello, you were gonna have to earn your star regardless. But I love that about Jasmine.
I have to say, this entire episode, I feel like a lot of people really like took jabs at Cara Maria in different places. Like we see Flora do it at one point, we see Cam do it, we see Nicole do it, like we see Ryan at one point do it, like Veronica does it. Like really, the whole house takes jabs at Cara Maria at
Yeah,
different points
we're gonna talk
of the.
about that.
But we then get into a very heartfelt moment with Kifla. We call him now Uncle Kifla, again, one of our supporters. He has this beautiful moment with his wife. So, Brandon, break it down for us.
Yeah, so basically Keith's on the phone with his wife and he's trying to basically tell the world that an old man still has it. Like, and I agree with him because the way that Keith's played so far in this game has been immaculate, especially for someone that has come back after so many years and no one has problems with you and you're just showing up to the challenges and showing out. Like, he did his thing. So when he was talking to his wife, he basically explains that he wants to open up a wellness facility focusing on mental health. And I thought that was really, really cool to hear in a way because I think we don't hear about mental health a lot of the times. So it was nice to be brought up on the challenge.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was nice just to get like a better understanding of who Kifla is and just his character is just very telling. But once we saw that he got the call, I was like, oh, Kifla's going home
Yeah.
because it's just inevitable. They did the same thing with Brandon. It's like the same little formula, and I just really hated that. But I was happy to see that we got like a little bit more to Kifla's story and his path. Before we move on to the very annoying and dragging of freaking Laurel and Nicole. But yeah, y'all can comment on that because you already know my feelings.
Can I say something? I feel like we've noticed like two different cycles. Either that the people who are going home are going to have like a really warm sentimental moment, or the person going home is going to have like a very like hype, like nobody can touch me, like I have a path to the end. Like I feel like when they do those two extremes, you're like, oh man, okay, this person's like road has come to an end. I don't know. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
we see that
easy
a
telling
lot.
production. You could just
Yeah.
tell what production editing, like after a while, after you've seen the show, you kind of get used to it and you can pick it up right away.
But I think what's nice about like, I don't know, I feel like we've seen a little bit with All Stars, like even like Kifla talking about wanting to open the wellness center, like you kind of see their interest outside of the money just being kind of like a prize pot. Like they want all these competitors really want more from it, which again just kind of really differentiates All Stars from the flagship. So
No,
so
I
yeah, we
mean I
talk.
do. Sorry, real quick. I think they do that on the flagship. I just don't think anybody cares. Like to be quite honest, like a lot of those people, like it's hard for me to root for them because they just suck and they have horrible, shitty personalities. Like I'm sorry, Emmanuel, I don't really care. Like with him winning, I was like, oh, Emmanuel freaking won and great. The stereo cheater got the win and the money. Like who gives a fuck? But he's like, oh, I'm doing this for my mom and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not even moved by your story because you're just a shitty person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Agreed.
But yes, we then move on to Laurel and Nicole hooking up in the sauna. Veronica catches them with Ryan, and the story continues.
Oh wait, real funny comment about that though. I thought it was really funny how Veronica and Ryan were the ones to catch them. I said, look at all the queers catching each other.
Oh, I said the same thing.
I said, look at the fellow lesbian catching the lesbians hooking up in the freaking and mind. Oh, another thing, y'all better have cleaned up that sauna because that is fucking disgusting. That is nasty. Y'all better have cleaned that up or done. I
I
don't
would
know, but
I would not go in there the whole
Y'all were
entire
definitely dehydrated
season.
after that. Yeah, because I
I
was
don't
in
know
there
what was
for a
happening.
minute, apparently. But we do see, like, we're about to go into nominations with the episode, but there are some talks about certain competitors who want to go in. So we kind of see Cam really step up and say, hey, I want to go in. It's my time. Leroy wants to stay out. She's talking to Jay, I believe. And she really says that she wants to go against someone who doesn't have a star. And she says
So,
that really her options. Yeah, go ahead.
question: why is it
Yeah.
now all of a sudden her time? Because she had a moment where she could have gone in, but she didn't want to. So why now?
But she made a
She
really
made it.
good point.
She made a point about it.
Like she
Remember, she
said
said,
there's two, yeah, go ahead, Keeks.
No. Go ahead, Lena. Sorry.
There's two star holders, two very strong competitors. It's 100% chance one of them is going to go home. Why would I go in right now? I think, honestly, I think that was a very smart move on Cam.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that was a smart move for her to make. But I do feel like the whole she doesn't want to go against somebody with a star. I was just like, okay, it's because obviously she is friends with these people. But I would have thought like she would have at least wanted to go against Veronica. Like I thought
Hmm.
Jasmine I understood, but I was like, really? You don't even want to go against Veronica? So yeah.
But she wanted to go against Tina. And then she said that she doesn't care. It could be Tina or Laurel, but she didn't think she had enough votes to get Laurel in. Like, do you believe that? Or,
Which is
I mean, I
weird to
feel like
me. I
Cam would go
think,
against
I didn't
anyone.
understand that.
yeah, I think she was just trying to prove a point that I'll go up against anybody in this house, but why would you go against Laurel when Laurel is basically a number for you, at least this season,
Yeah.
because you guys seem to be buddy buddy. So why would you even throw that out there? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me.
I was confused on that too. I was just like, are we missing something? Like, why is she throwing Laurel's name out? I didn't really understand. I mean, I know that they weren't like they've never been super close, but they seem to be getting along, like you mentioned in the season. So I thought that was interesting. And again, I was just like, what is this like? This is all being dragged out way too long. The whole Rachel vote, this, and then now you going after Carl Starr. I'm confused. Why is this such still a thing? And then that's why I'm getting frustrated with editing because I feel like we are missing things
Chunks. Yeah.
and I'm not getting the full story as to why there's such like vitriol, not vitriol, but like there's so much tension building up
Yeah.
against these two.
Yeah. Well, it brings us to the nominations and the tension continues. So, Keeks, what did you think about the nomination?
Oh my gosh. So nominations, I mean, like we already knew, let's get through it. Kifla and Steve were gonna be the ones nominated. Like we already knew that was gonna happen. That was pretty much unanimous. But then we get to the conversation of the female vote. And Cara leads that conversation and she basically says, like, I don't want Cam to go in because she's gonna go after me and try to take my star. And I really wanted to be Jasmine and Veronica, which I felt like that was fair for her to say. It's a smart thing to suggest, especially that she's ultimately trying to protect her vote. Now, do I think that her trying to convince people and tell them, like, no, like trying to have them reconsider their votes right there in their moment was the smartest move? Not per se, but she did end up getting what she wanted, which
Yeah.
is ultimately what, like, that's all that matters.
And let's be honest, she controlled those four. Like Jay had mentioned that Cam had said she wanted to go in versus Tina. You know, there's kind of a little commentary where Carr was like, absolutely not. Like, Cam thinks that's an easy way to a star. And Ryan kind of jumps in and goes, you're underestimating Tina. Like, she's not that easy. That would be a good elimination. Let's do it. And then him and Flora right there and then vote Tina and Cam. But Cara was not having it. And I have to say, this is what I don't like about Cara Maria. Cara Maria is a very strong competitor. Girl, play like you are. Like, why do you play such a scared game? Like,
Why
why do you
why
want to?
why is she playing a scared game? She literally
I don't
had a
know.
conversation. She had a conversation with Jay beforehand, telling Jay this is what I need to happen. And then Jay came in and said, "Oh, I have to protect Jasmine." So then Kara in her confessional literally said, "Okay, so I have to make stuff happen." And what happened? Karma Maria. Period.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
I
but
mean,
she
I
needs.
I was annoyed too, Lena. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, Kara kind of annoyed me, but I didn't blame her for trying to protect her star and going as hard as she did. So I did understand the motivation behind her trying to convince everybody. But I was kind of like Flora, like, girl, I don't gotta change my vote because you want me to change my vote. Like, I also understood that part too. And then we get into like, Ryan saying this is not the Cara Maria challenge. Different friendships are at play, and it's true. But Cara kind of proved that it is kind of the Cara Maria challenge. So I thought
Oh
that
my
was funny.
God.
And then Adam says that it's insane to vote Cam because she's the chess master. And clearly that shows me that Adam is awake. Adam is
Yeah.
peeping all types of game happening in the house. And it's true. Cam is running the house. And then Flora is saying that Cara is obviously leading Jay, Avery, and Adam and trying to tell them like it could be us four. And I don't know if it was her kind of trying to make an alliance between them four, or that was just her speaking of the nomination of the votes. But she had mentioned something. I don't know if you guys can clarify that for me or back me up on what I'm trying to say. Is like during the nomination, she has said us four
She,
can do something, right? It was something
yeah,
like
she
that.
said like
Yeah, she
us
did.
four can make it happen. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, is this her trying to also build an alliance with those four in this moment since she knows Ryan and Flora do not back her in this vote? So I was just
I
curious
mean,
about that.
the plan worked.
It
And she
did.
even tells Avery, "Hey girl, if I go down there because I know I'm gonna have to do it again, I'll win you a star, give it right back to you." Her plan worked. It was to me, it was great because she literally said, "Flora Ryan, bye. Let me own the floor."
Yeah, I mean, again, like she got what she wanted at the end of the day, so it is what it is. Do I feel like it was the best way to go about it? Maybe not, because now you also have other people like turned off by your behavior during the nomination, but it is what it is. And then it gets to the point like when Cara goes and puts like the names like for
Yeah.
Jasmine and Veronica, she says it's not personal, whatever, all these things. We hear like Cam, which is random for her to even say this, or not random, but it's hypocritical for her to say that she's mad that she was blocked for going into elimination, and that people are listening to Cara, and that Cara is using people as like pawns. And I'm like, Cam, your whole game is using people as pawns. Like, let's be fucking for real. But whatever. And then Veronica calls Kara an energy sucking vampire.
This is so good.
And I'm sorry, like I cackled. Like, and
I
I'm sorry
cackled hard, sis.
if
That was perfect. And it was accurate, man.
right. And then you hear like then you have Flora talking to her challenged daughter, Nicole, and says Kara's playing a selfish game. And then you have Nicole going on a tangent off of Kara, calling her a clown and weird. And I said, Nicole, you should be the last person speaking about
And
weird and clown.
you know what's
Correct.
crazy though? I heard, I think it was on Banana's podcast when he brought on Cara, right? The first thing she said was, because I think he asked her, like, what did you feel about Nicole and Laurel being there? And I think she had mentioned the first person when I got off the plane in the airport that I saw was Nicole. She came up running to me and hugged me, and we were buddy buddy. And she said, "Oh, I'm like nervous. Laurel's here." And she was like, she said to him, she already was like, I already know where this is gonna go. I know that she's
Hmm.
gonna like be my friend in the beginning, and then this whole thing is gonna happen. And look what's happening. Nicole is calling her a clown when
It was just unnecessary. I was
let's
like,
be
okay,
real.
It
I
was
understand
harsh.
you being frustrated with how the nominations went or whatever, especially Flora, because she was there. I could understand that. But to start calling her weird and a clown and all these things, like, girl, You are part of the circus too, baby girl. Like, let's be fucking for real. So for you to even make those comments is crazy. And on top of that, Nicole, you wanted Cara. Let's
I
keep
was
it real.
just gonna say that.
You
Remember, it
wanted
was
Cara.
before you wanted Laurel too,
But
because they were both there.
you settled for Laurel.
Exactly.
Okay.
which
Moving
is
on.
like not the nicest thing, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the absolute truth. Like, don't be calling her a clown. Like, I get her being annoying. She's like a naggy little annoying sister or something like that in the house. Or I could take Veronica saying energy sucking vampire because I actually trust Veronica's judgment,
Yeah.
But to call her a clown, like, come on, it was just weird. Like, I was like, you're doing too much for, like, you won. Like, what the hell are you mad about?
Yeah. And something to go back on, you saying like, oh, like Cam was kind of being hypocritical. I feel like even though Cam may play the same game where she uses everyone as a pawn, she does it really strategically. Like she does it where, yeah, she does. She executes and
Brandon,
nobody's
come
mad
on.
at her. She executes and people respect her. She executes and people want to be on her team. Cara, it never works in her favor. Like, yes, she may execute, but you saw that she creates more enemies than friends in the end.
Well, they were never her friends. Let's be real. Like once she came into the game, everyone looked at Kara and was like, she's a threat. We have to get her out. That's why when she was the first one to get her star, because she beat all of the people, she was like, I have to find a way to protect my star. I'm playing a different game than Cam is. Cam doesn't have a star. And she called it clear as day. And I think I agree with you. Cam is very strategic and smart in the way that she plays within these challenges. I do not think, however, this is her smartest and most strategic challenge. I think she is focusing too much on protecting Leroy and trying to get him something as opposed to just trying to protect herself. And that's kind of the issue that comes with coming in as a couple, I guess.
Yeah,
But I've seen her play
Yeah.
way smarter in previous games.
I get
Well,
what you're saying.
she's also played as a couple with Leroy before, but again, I think it's a very different dynamic. Like we've seen, like he's coming with the postpartum situation that they talked about a lot. So I think there's a lot more layers to this. And to be honest with you, like from the beginning, I really peeped that Cam is not concerned about winning. She's way more concerned about Leroy getting the win than she is. She's really there for her family to like represent her family. If she wins the money, she's doing it for her family, but I think she's really prioritizing Leroy, and honestly I'm not mad at her for it, to be honest.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I do agree with what you're saying, Brandon. Like, maybe because of the fact that she has to focus on the fact of like protecting Leroy and herself, that she's not making the most sense to us with some of these moves. But I don't think that she's not doing good strategically overall, because like everybody's commenting, she is running the house, she has connections everywhere, and people are willing to protect her because she has the numbers on her side.
Which is to me like the craziest thing. Like you will never be this woman's number one. Leroy is her number one. So for you to just follow her blindly is like insane. Like it doesn't make sense to
Hmm.
me.
Yeah, definitely fair. And then we get into this elimination, which, finally, thank you, episode 6. You filled a hole that I've needed to have filled for a while. Like, yes. How do we let's talk about this elimination. Take me through it, Keeks.
Yeah, so the elimination is called Rope Rumble. And pretty much the game rules is that there's a circle in the arena separated by like this long beam. And on this beam is like a 200-pound rope, right? They said it was like about 200 pounds. And the
Yeah.
goal is to get the entire rope on your opponent's side. I do want to make a comment about this elimination. I I forgot. I don't remember the name of the elimination very well. I think it's like Not So Fast or whatever, the jungle gym one where they have to put the ropes. I feel like they were trying to do that and they didn't get what they needed to get and maybe had to like come up with a different type of elimination because it just felt like very
It was
basic. I don't
random.
know.
It
Easy.
was
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel like there should have been more thought to it. So I feel like that was the intention by production, but they didn't get the setup that they needed for it in time. I don't know. And
Maybe
also,
even like a tug of war or something. Like I
yeah,
would have
something.
kind of
Mm.
like with Josh and Jordan when they played that game and it was
Yes,
last
yes.
small.
Oh,
I would want
yes.
to have seen that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just something about it that was like, this feels unfinished. Like, I feel like we're missing like an important part of this elimination. But anyway, so that is the elimination. And then, of course, like because of the fact that Ace and Nicole won, TJ brings it up to Ace and Nicole, like, do you guys want to come down here to earn your stars? And then Ace dressed up in like this this cheetah
Can we talk
freaking
about
jacket.
that? What was that?
I was like, what is happening? Wait, Ace said,
Ace
okay,
is such a character.
he's channeling bananas at this point because that's a very bananas thing to do. Um, and he's like dressed up in these glasses and this, I don't know, it was funny. So Ace obviously says no, that he does not want to go down there because he does not think that he'll be able to beat Keefla or Steve due to the different weight classes between the two. And he also knows that Steve is like a wrestler or has done wrestling in the past. So he says, no, I'm gonna stay my cute ass
What
up here.
what hasn't Steve done? That's the question at this point.
Right.
Oh my God,
Right.
Steve.
Steve does everything. Oh my god, he's like
Steve.
multifaceted. Um and then Nicole gets asked to go down and finally somebody says, "Yes, I want to go down." And now we're having a conversation. She's like she wants to know where she stands between Jazz and V to determine who she wants to go against. And this whole thing was so interesting. I was like, okay, finally somebody's gonna go down and try to earn their star so we could see what exactly happens. But I have comments. Like, I'm gonna let y'all talk about it a little bit, but I have comments on how this went down.
So can I just say, all right, I was happy someone finally was like, I'm gonna come down and get my star. But when you look at the two options that Nicole has, it's Jasmine, who is like way tinier than her, and it's Veronica,
Who's
which I
also way
think,
tinier
yes,
than
way tinier, but she has more muscle, I think, than Jasmine does, to
More
hold
build, yeah.
herself off longer, yeah. But it was almost like a okay, I'm gonna get my start easily kind of moment. And she
right.
was just playing juggle. Like, who do I want to get it from? And that's what kind of bothered me with it. I was like, if you want to get your star against like a Cam or a Cara or a
Or go
Rachel
against Laurel. Go
or
against
your
Laurel.
yeah, Laurel. And you did you
Like, give
peep
us a
how
show.
yeah, before we get into it, did you peep how Laurel was like really, really cheering Nicole on?
Of
Oh,
course.
yes. I
Mm.
mean, Nicole was
Did we?
looking at Laurel for validation. She was
Yeah.
like, I'm not surprised, but yeah, I feel like either way, Nicole would have won. So this whole like talk about, oh, who do I go against? Who's against me or not? It's just like, girl, you're gonna win regardless. So cut the bullshit.
And again,
Or
Nicole, we
the
don't
what
hate
can you do
you.
for me?
Yeah, we don't hate you, Nicole. We just don't like your choices.
I don't like her. Nicole, I don't like you. Based on what I see, I don't like you.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not a huge fan of her either. Never have been. She does nothing for me. Come or go, Nicole. It's fine.
Right. Right. So then Nicole asked like this, she asked the question and Jasmine says like, Nicole, I've saved you before when people wanted you to go into elimination against Cara, and then Nicole agrees to save Jasmine off of what Jasmine just says. And then once Nicole goes down on the sand, Veronica talks her out of it. And again, this just reminds me that Veronica is a strategic player. She always gets her way. We have seen this time and time again We saw this in Dirty 30. We saw this with Evie's right? Evie's back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot what season it was, but she was supposed to go in, and then Evie's ended up going in. Like, this is what Veronica is here to do, and she got out of a freaking elimination again. It just goes to show that like people need to stop playing with Veronica, and this is why she's one of the best female players in the damn game, because she gets what she
Derek,
And
wants at the end.
Derek
yeah.
even said, he was like, yeah, that's why everyone calls her a legend. Like, and I agree. Like, she is. Put some respect on her name. She's won what, like 3 times already? More
Yes.
than most of these girls. Yeah. Like,
And she literally tells Nicole, like, because Nicole is under the impression that Veronica's working with Cara. And she's like, girl, who the hell told you that? I'm not working with Cara. I don't know where you got that from, but I am not working with her. And then all of a sudden, Nicole tells TJ, like, hey,
Switches
can
it
I
up.
change my decision? And I was like, first of all, I found it crazy that TJ even allowed it.
Right?
I don't think it should have
I
been
was
allowed,
surprised.
I'm
but I
not
was
surprised.
entertained that it
They
happened.
I was
wanted,
happy it
yeah.
happened. I'll be honest. I wanted Veronica to stay, but I was shocked that TJ allowed the change.
I mean, I
They
wanted
wanted
both
a
Veronica
dramatic
and Jasmine
moment.
to stay because I feel like
Yeah.
they're fun characters or entertaining people to have on. But I did find it crazy. I was like, wait. She really has the opportunity to change her vote. Like, this is fucking nuts. And then V goes up, or well, Nicole says the people she thought had her best interests actually don't. And I was just like, what the hell are you even talking about? But anyway, Jasmine comes down and she tells Nicole, like, you made the wrong idea or the wrong move essentially. And then Cam says she can't understand what Nicole says, so how could she possibly understand what Nicole thinks, which I thought was freaking hilarious, because sometimes I'm just like, the accent, girl, it is strong. And granted, I can't say much because we're from Jersey and we're really close to New York, but the accent be wild with Nicole. So I thought that was funny.
And Veronica even praises herself. She was like, I don't know what I said, but all I know is it works. And that, I'm telling you, that's why I love Veronica. Like, she's very honest. She doesn't even know what she said. And from the clip they showed us, she didn't really say much, but she said, ask Laurel. And I think that was all the validation Nicole needed, was the ask Laurel that
She
made
knew
her
what
change her mind.
heartstrings to pull on.
Yeah. Okay, little V, you killed that. You killed that. Congratulations. You deserve to come out of that elimination a winner. So then we actually start the elimination, and we start with Keefla and Steve. Brandon, what did you think?
So as we know, Keefla is still basically dealing with this hamstring injury, and um, it's not looking good. But in my head, I knew, okay, he has like more weight on him. Like, he's not like gonna be an automatic out, and he actually makes a funny comment where he says he was thinking about his wife saying, "Now don't do too much," and that made me chuckle a little because it's true. But Steve has a lot of wrestling experience, so we know coming into this that he's gonna pull some of those moves when they actually go in. So we end up seeing a really, really tough fight. But Keefla unfortunately just gasses out, and Steve ends up taking the win. And what I will say is, Keefla fought hard and strong, and I
Yeah.
appreciate him. And I really, really, really hope that we get to see him come back on the challenge again, because I think he mentioned it when he was leaving, that he just hope he showed the world to play the game with integrity, that there are people that can still do that in this current day and age. So I really hope we see him again.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Keefla, snaps. I think he had a wonderful season. And I do hope that we do see him again and he comes back and he gets that wellness facility. Very honorable. So, yeah, wishing
Yeah.
you the best, Keefla.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was sad to see Keefla go, but happy that he made an appearance. He made his mark. Like, honestly, he showed out. He had a great showing this season. And for somebody that did not have any connections or relationships with majority of the cast, and also somebody that did not watch a lot of the seasons, like apparently he did a an interview and he had mentioned that he wasn't really keeping up with the show. Like he saw All Stars 1, he got the call for All Stars 2 and could not do it because he had surgery, and then that's pretty much it. Like he has not really kept up with anything, so he also didn't know people's relationships or their dynamics prior to coming on. So for him to make it halfway through the season, like shout out to Kifla, you did an amazing job, and hopefully you are very proud of yourself and you're showing as well.
For sure. And then we see Jasmine and Nicole. They're up for the competition. And it's funny because Nicole, we know Nicole's a firefighter. It's been mentioned multiple times. And it's another day at work for her. So Jasmine definitely puts up a fight. She says that she thought she played a strategic game really throughout. She was trying to make big moves. Unfortunately, it definitely backfired at the end, where she just might have had too many commitments or too many relationships that she promised things that she could not hold down to. We know Jasmine doesn't really have the best track record when it comes to eliminations. Derek calls it out. He was like, give a bitch a break. But Nicole definitely pulls out beast mode and pulls Jasmine and the rope, and Nicole secures the win, which
was it
we knew was
beast
going to
mode or was it
happen.
just like a day in the park?
I don't think
Oh
it was a
yeah.
day in the park. I think Jasmine put up a fight. Like I don't think she
She
did
did.
nothing, but
I think
Nicole
it was an
definitely
easier
secured
win
that
for
win.
Nicole, but I definitely do give props to Jasmine for uh pushing the way that she did during that. And I do want to just say, Jasmine, I do wish, because I think you had all the facets that you needed for this challenge to make it to the end. I just wish you would have, especially with Cara, because she was pulling for you so hard in the beginning. I think maybe, like I said earlier on in the episode, if you pulled that trigger later on and used that as a buffer, you would have gotten there.
And it's funny you say that because she even says, like, at the end for her monologue, she goes, she says that she was seen as a social and political threat this season. And that next time she
Mhm.
comes, she'll try a different strategy. And I'm wondering if that's her kind of reflecting on certain decisions she made too early, following other cast members. So
Yeah.
hopefully we will see Jasmine again in the future.
I mean, Jasmine, she did do an article and she did say that like she was very protected in this house. Like she was putting in work, and she did mention that like because of the fact that she was recently divorced, like she was trying to play like she's never played before. And she also made a comment on her way out, like, maybe next time when I come in, I'm gonna do things differently, or I'm gonna try different things in general because this worked for me so far, or like I got far enough where like I learned a lot of things playing the way that I did this season. And like for one of the things that she made a comment on was like Adam calling her a mouthpiece for Cam. And she had mentioned that like she was surprised by that comment because it was more of like her and Cam would bounce off ideas from one another, but it wasn't necessarily like she was the mouthpiece for Cam. And again, she had alliances with everybody, but it wasn't like set in stone. She just was good at making connections with everybody in the house. I do hope to see Jazzy back. She made a comment on Twitter, I guess, like obviously with all the backlash she was getting for voting in Cara, um that she was getting a lot of hate and that this is most likely going to be her last challenge. Don't I do hope that's not the case,
Yeah,
and
I hope
I
it's
truly
not.
hope that she comes back because like she's entertaining, and granted like most people believe that she's not going to make it to a final or win. I do hope that she does because like
I
you
do
could tell that
too.
she has the tenacity and she has the grit and like the fire to get there.
And
Yeah, I really
also
do hope she
we
comes back and surprises everyone.
yeah, I think the person that also surprised me from her season Well, there's two actually. Derek is surprising me this season, and if you look at Janae, when they both came on, they were kind of the same size. No one really looked at them as like anything. And in their first rookie season, they killed it. I don't think she can't make it to a final. So I really hope she does come back and kills it and proves them all wrong.
Yeah, agreed. And then Kifla also kind of ends his season. I think Brandon, you had mentioned it about really playing respectfully and with integrity, and we definitely saw that in his season. So I think it definitely farewell to both Kifla and Jasmine. You guys had great seasons. You were really entertainment throughout, and we hope to see you both back in future All Stars. So now we have our winners. We have Nicole and Steve. So Steve decides to give the star to Ace, which I was actually very surprised because he makes that comment towards Adam of, I want to see you in the final, but then goes and gives the star to Ace. And I feel like Adam even felt some type of way about it too. Did you guys get that same vibe?
I
I
don't
think
think Adam
Adam
felt
took
some type
it.
of way about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Brendan. I
Yeah,
didn't want
I
to cut you
didn't.
off. My bad.
No. I didn't get that from Adam. He kind of was just like, okay, like But also, if we look back at Adam on the challenges, he's not. He wanted to. Steve wanted to put it in a neutral place. I think the most neutral
Yeah.
person out of all of them is Ace. I think what he did was smart because even Ace, earlier on in the episode, was basically trying to save Steve and saying like, if anyone has your back, I think it was to Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. If anyone has your back, it's him. Like he keeps his word and everything. So I think he's seen Ace to be this very neutral person that doesn't go off the rails when they have power. And I think that's a smart move on his end and a good alliance if they do have between Ace, Adam, and Steve.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I felt like with Adam, like yes, he was a little bit surprised, but I felt like Steven's reasoning behind it made sense. Like I'm not gonna put a target on Adam again. I'm gonna give it to Ace, and knowing that like it could be returned later on in the game. I understood that. And then of course we see Nicole gets Jasmine Star, which she would have gotten Veronica's too if she just went against her as well, but that was that.
Yeah. And that brings us to our final star holders for this episode, which are Nicole, Ace, Leroy, Steve, Cara, and Veronica. So what are our thoughts? What were our overall ratings about this episode?
I was entertained the entire episode. It went by pretty fast. I was like, dang, the episode's over. Granted, like I like the daily challenge. The elimination was a little wonky to me. I do wish there was just something else to the day to the elimination aside from like bringing the rope over, but it is what it is. Aside from that, it was so good. Like the entertainment was on 100 this episode, so I'll give it a 9.5. Yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, you took mine. I think the daily challenge was one of my favorites so far. I like seeing. I think I mentioned this in another episode. I like seeing either solo or pairs competitions. So when I saw it was a pair competition, I was excited. But the final or the elimination was what really like I wasn't too happy about. I think again, like I mentioned earlier, if they did like a tug of war, it would have been more interesting to me. And I also think Keith would probably won. But because of that, I will give it a 9.75.
Well, I have to agree with both of you. I think it was a really good episode. The drama was definitely there. I enjoyed the daily challenge. I disagree about the elimination. I think they've definitely watered down the eliminations in general for this season. So I'm not really surprised with what the requirement was. I think we're also kind of missing how heavy the rope is. So maybe we're not appreciating that part of it. But I like that the elimination was physical. I've been waiting for a physical elimination. So I actually give the episode, I also give it a 9.5. I won't necessarily give it a 10, but I think that throughout the entire time I was fairly entertained. So, and we're
Yeah.
halfway through.
And we're halfway through. Oh my God, it's gonna go by so fast.
Yep.
And then we're gonna have to deal with the Vacation Alliance again. Um, anyway, so that concludes this episode of the Challenge All Stars 4, episode 6, with your faves, a Reality Unloaded podcast. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow us on Instagram at Reality Unloaded Pod. And look out for us. We have more in store. We're thinking about covering other shows. So if you have a show you'd like us to review, put it down in the comments, hit us up, send us a DM on Instagram, whatever the case may be. But thank you guys and have a good night. Peace, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, let me end it.